Hello and welcome everyone. Thanks for attending our talk. We want to talk about community, how to catch them all today. And we prepared a little interactive start for you. So, who is an open source maintainer? Please raise your hand if you can and want, if you are maintaining an open source project. Cool. Thank you very much. We really appreciate your time and investment in that. Yes. Oh, I skipped the first 3 slides on my notes. Very good. Let's start from the beginning. Soner.
Yeah, first of all, I'm Soner. I'm very active in a lot of communities, and I love doing open source. But what about you, tall guy?
Thank you very much. Bring your own clicker, they said. Can you switch, please? Thanks. The next one. Hello, I'm Fabian. I'm Fabian Blechschmidt. I'm talking with you about community today and more on Soner and me in a couple of slides, so please stay tuned on that. Now, let's talk about community. Thanks for maintaining, and over to Soner.
Yeah. So, who of you is contributing to open source? Also, please raise your hand. I see a lot of more hands. It's really cool that you are doing that.
Absolutely. And just to be sure, all of you can raise your hands because alone by being here, you're part of community, you are contributing to open source. So thank you all for being here. So you are community, we are community. And now a little excuse how to catch them all. Who did get the reference? Anyone? A few people? Very good, thanks. It was a reference to Palworld. That was a second reference. For all of you who didn't laugh, let me explain that even unfunny joke and make it less funny. Pokemon, all you know, I guess it's a Nintendo game. Palworld is a game which is currently sued by Nintendo because Nintendo is telling them they're stealing their assets. So we thought it's funny to not use Pokemon, but Palworld for a reference, but yeah. So let's talk about communities and how to grow them.
Yeah, so communities can only survive when new people join them. As an example, the Cobalt community. Do any of you know Cobalt? Cobalt is kinda a really old language, which is mostly used by banks. So it's an interest of the banks to get it kinda actively, so they can get new people working on that while migrating to something new. But they still need more people to work in the future.
Yeah, so the basic problem with community is all the time people are dropping out of communities. They are growing up, they end university, they now have a job, they're getting children, they are married, they have to take care of their parents or other people in their family. So to work against that, we need to grow our community and onboard new people. And we would love to talk about you, how to onboard, what is the community. And so we brought 2 perspectives for you. One is from Soner, one is from me. So Soner, what is your perspective and what is your background?
So I'm Soner Sayakci. I'm a principal software engineer at Shopware. So Shopware is an open source MIT e-commerce system. So everyone can host it on their own. But regards Shopware, I'm also active in a lot of other communities like NixOS or OpenSearch. Yeah. What about you, Fabian?
Yes. I'm a developer by heart. I'm an agency owner. And I have a second company who is selling long-term support for end-of-life software. But beside that, I'm a lovely community member in different communities. I started at Magento, now I'm at Shopware. And I think we are both very active, and I think the most interesting part and the biggest difference between us two is that Soner is kind of in our home community Shopware. Soner has the perspective from inside the company, and I have the perspective from outside. And yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. But because we are here, let's talk about what you can do in your community, and let's start with events. And we try to order the events a little bit from it is easy to attend, or it is easy to get into it actively, as a speaker, as a hacker, as whatever, too hard. So the first thing we thought is our unconfs and bar camps. So both events are like you're going there, you the people and the attendees voting on the talk. So it might be spontaneous. But the interesting part is that if you are proposing a topic and you get a slot, all the people are very happy that you are giving the slot. They already voted for your talk, and they are very, very supportive and want you to succeed. So if you are looking for a spot and want to start your career as a speaker, unconfs and bar camps are a great way to start out.
So besides unconf, what is also like a great starter is meetup. It's mostly like local in your area, so you can go there and learn about interesting stuff where everyone is interested into. You can propose a talk. Mostly every meetup is looking for new speakers and so on, and new stuff. But the good thing is you are there with all nerds. So you're a nerd, then you can talk with other nerds about nerdy stuff.
Yeah. Okay, I'll give up. And the next thing we want to introduce you are hackathons. So hackathons are like a party, but with nerds. So you are talking nerdy stuff, you're building nerdy stuff. And the cool thing is that most of the time you have experts there. So if you are into a system, be it Vue.js, be it Python, be it Magento, whatever you like, and someone, for example, you, is running a hackathon, it's very, okay, if you are running a hackathon, most likely you don't have time to participate in that. Tried that, but if you're not, if you're just attending, it's very cool to have experts there you can talk to, and because there are no talks and no nothing like on a conference, there is a ton of time to talk with people, not only about technology, but about how does everything work, how is your job, how can I improve my life with my children, whatever. We are talking a lot of stuff, and that's really cool.
So the last thing of our list is conferences. Like we are right now at the conference, so it's a little bit more complicated. You are participating at an CFP, so call for paper. Then maybe your talk gets accepted, but it's completely different than like going to an unconf or meetup where like only 30, 40 people are here. At the conference, there are like a lot of more. So it's a higher starting thing. So we would more recommend going to unconfs, meetups, and then starting with that, and then going to a bigger conference.
Yeah, exactly. And just a small hint, if you're going to a conference, be prepared. Everything can happen there. Most of the time, nothing will happen. So, but sometimes you have no sound, sometimes you have no screen, technical issues, everything. So be prepared. Make sure that your talk works, hopefully without slides, without sound, etc. Although, hopefully this never happens, especially it didn't happen here. So thanks for our technology guys back there. And yeah, but preparation is everything if you ask us. Mastodon. Yeah, so if you didn't heard of it, the new Twitter, get an account there. And you can join your community by just going on Mastodon, on Twitter if you have to be. You can use Slack or Discord. Every community out there has either official or at least unofficial and at least one kind of chat. The cool thing with chats is you get quick answers. And the biggest problem is that messages vanish. So it's really hard to have a stable thing of that. You want to add anything?
No, not really.
Cool. One small addition from me. The cool thing about chats are they are kind of homey. So if you want to not only feel the technology side of your community, but feeling to be with friends, a chat is a very nice thing to be in, if you ask me. And because all the messages vanish, we need to think about that because a lot of cool informations are exchanged in a chat system, and there are cool solutions. You have one, Soner?
Yes, of course. So one good solution is like to write blog posts or use a forum. So they are more visible, they can be found by search engines, like not only in the Discord or Slack search, it can be found by any search engine. So they are sustainable, cannot be like lost directly. What you also can do is you can build like a brand for you, so you can post it on your website. So when people visit it, they know who you are, so you can build a more brand building for you, and it's like more visibility and so on.
Yes. And second best, the core part of most open source communities are the source code, of course. We are all part of some kind of software, maybe not. And most of the time it's the hardest to contribute to the core because it's really hard to build your own pull request, build all the tests, write with the maintainers. And we think that's one of the things we as a community we have to look into how to improve that, because we have all these cool, nice people out there, and hopefully in the community, but also in the maintainer pool, and welcoming people with their first pull request by writing them, thanks for the pull request, but please can you add tests and documentation and 3 other things, is like, I took all the time beside pressure on my job and from my boss, and now I should do all these things. That's really hard. Although, to be honest, I don't have a solution. But my best idea is if we just do pull requests together. So one is writing the test, one is writing the code, a third person is writing the documentation. So if you have free time, just scroll through the pull requests of your loveliest project, have a look, find one, improve it. That's my idea on that. And we also want to include all the tooling and all the plugins around. So if you are a WordPress maintainer, all the things around are interesting as well. So whatever the deployment tools for WordPress are, it's cool to look into them as well. Soner, what is the biggest problem with pull requests from a company perspective?
So mostly what's kind of like a little bit annoying is when people like create like first of all issues. Before you create an issue, of course, you should look like, is there a similar issue already open? And then comment there if you have something. What I cannot recommend is to write like +1 or an emoji as a comment, because it annoys everyone in the conversation. That's why we have emojis in the conversations. And from the pull request side, like take a look that you don't create like duplicate pull requests, or when it's really old, it's also maybe worth to take over his work and finish it so it can be merged.
Yeah. So both sides should be nice to each other, the maintainers, and being helpful, but although we are the community member by providing cool code and don't be mean to each other or putting pressure anywhere. Yeah. And the last part where we think we all can contribute to are documentation.
Yeah, so who of you is writing documentation? Please also raise your hand. Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot.
Thank you very much for that.
But who of you is really liking to do that? Please also raise your hand. That's still, I expected less, but it's still more than really thank you doing that, because documentations are really important. So it's kind of the biggest pain point for every new beginner when there's no documentation. And what we do there is that our developers write the documentation, and then we have like technical writers which kind of check, does it make sense as a beginner? Because as a developer, you're mostly focused on your stuff and you have just assumptions that people know stuff, but in reality it's different. But what also goes to documentation is stuff like ADR, like architecture decision record. So you describe why did you go this way with your application? Like, why did you choose this technology instead of this? That is kind of also like documented that anyone like 2 years after can still understand why did we choose that and not the other one. What we also really like to do is mostly is like an RFC, so request for comments. It's kind of like a GitHub discussion where everyone, like we as Shopware, as a maintainer, or the community can create a thread, and they can just ask like for good ideas. Like they have a good idea, they open a request for comments, just put the ideas inside, what they want to change, and everyone can comment on that and evolve the idea, and then this goes after some time into an ADR when it's accepted. So everyone can change also something.
Yes, everyone can. Fun fact, I had last week a discussion with one of my project managers who had a meeting with one of our customers, and he was after that ranting about the Shopware documentation because this and that is not properly documented and not very well explained. And my reaction was to send him the GitHub link to the documentation and tell him to fix it. I guess it didn't happen, but at least I tried. I'll try again. And always remember, making documentation better is the best and the most likely the easiest part to make all our lives as developers better. And bad documentation is a lot better than no documentation, but also no documentation is a lot better than wrong documentation. Because documentation which rotted because no one touched it for the last 2 versions is super annoying. And copying examples, yes. Copying examples which didn't work yeah, we don't like it. So, we are here on a silent stage, which is a little bit, I need to get used to it. And no one can hear us outside, which is interesting. So I think we should talk a little bit about invisible community.
So invisible community are for us like people using our software, but they never open an issue or a feature request or anything. So they don't talk with us. So we have also no channel to talk with them. So it's a little bit kind of like a lose-lose situation. We don't know what they do, and so we cannot optimize the software for them, and they don't know what is happening with the software in the future. So when you're using the software and problems, please create issues and provide your feedback.
Yeah, and tell your colleagues, tell your customers, we are very happy for all the feedback they have to give us. So all the software out there can be better and better adapted to their use case. And because we have some kind of lose-lose situation here, like they cannot rant about what is wrong and we cannot help them, that might lead to we have no clue what their expectations is. So let's talk a little bit about expectations. And I think we need to shorten that a little bit, but expectations depends hardly on your experience with a community. And in the Magento community, back in the days, there was more or less no interaction between the company and between us, the European community, which leads us to do everything on ourselves, which was very cool. But yeah, no expectation on the company is maybe cool for them, but yeah, but it drives us as a community back then. And the Shopware community is kind of the opposite.
Yeah, so we are really active in the communities and checking out what they're doing, organizing events with them. But the community is also growing, so they're organizing stuff. And with the power of both, we can involve the software much better. So we can do stuff, they do stuff with their pull requests or events. So it's better for everyone.
Yeah. And on the other side, so you not only have big companies like Adobe nowadays and Shopware, but you have also these small little projects from some random guy on Nebraska. We already saw this slide yesterday. Thanks for the great talk about coffee houses. But I didn't want to remove it because I think it's so important to talk about it. And yeah, there are literally projects. I think the biggest and the most important one is curl, which nowadays is not that anymore, but there are other projects, especially in the PHP field, like PHP code styling or PHP compatibility or Xdebug. So we are very thankful that people take care of that, like Juliet Reinders-Vollmer and Derek Reithens. But yeah, we should take care of that and not be even worse and bully them because they are not investing enough of their free time into the projects. So prepare yourself, make sure that you have a little clue about the projects you are diving into and you're opening issues, and be nice to each other.
So why we do that? Like, what is our motivation? I would say, for me, mostly it's like because I like it. I like to write code and be like active in a lot of communities, understand their problems. Because after some times, they mostly will be my problem because I will also run in some kind of issues. And what's about you, Fabian?
I'm only doing it for money and fame. People pay me to be here. Okay, unfortunately not. It's on my bucket list. If you want me to talk on your stage, tell me. I'm happy to write you an invoice. But no, I think motivation it's all about motivation. If you are into what you're doing, that's great. If your boss says you should do it, or anything else, if you are only being for fame here, then most likely the consequence is that you are perceived as being toxic. So be careful with that. And yeah, 2 words about that: to be a nice human.
Yeah. On the other side, there's also just a human. So you're writing and other people. He is also doing it mostly in the open source after his work. So be nice to each other, and yeah, be nice, because he's doing it also just for fun, and it should be so.
Yes. We need to hurry up a little.
Yeah, I would say we skip that.
Yes.
Quickly on mental health. It's also so that as maintainer, you have like a lot of issues, conversations, and so on, that can lead to that you're exhausting and so on. So we should don't so much kind of annoy the maintainers and so on, and they are also just people doing it after kind of their work. So, and when discussions get heated, use the moderation tools on GitHub and so on. And if you have questions on that, just came after this talk to us, I would say.
Yeah. So in essence, use what your community offers, be it a chat, be it a GitHub repositories. Mastodon, whatever, we are very happy. And if you want to join the Shopware community, or are you already be in the Shopware community, join the community Slack at slack.shopware.com. And yeah, if you have any questions, just get us. We are 1 minute back there to get rid of our microphones, and then we are here staying around. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And see you at the next community gathering.
Yep.